Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sharpest College Football Podcast brought to you by LeanTossup. We're back. This is our second of 3 bowl previews. This is going to cover up to, I believe, the Cotton Bowl, right? Which is, the Cotton Bowl is what, Ohio and Missouri, I think? Ohio State, Missouri?
Ohio State, yeah.
Yeah, so this is going to cover up to and including the Cotton Bowl. My name is Robert Martin. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, BuckMetrics. How are you doing? How are you doing tonight? This about 1 week into bowl season.
I'm on the injured reserve list, but I'll fight through. Man, just some, I don't know. Not the best quarterbacking we've ever seen. Not the best a lot of anything we've ever seen so far in these bowl games. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, it's a pretty fair assessment of what's left of the people who are playing in these bowl games, because it's some are transferring out, some are just saying no, some are graduating, some are like it's an absolute mess. And the thing is, this will get better, but also it will get worse as we go for some of these games. But there are some good bowl games coming up soon, and we are joined by our co-host, by our special guest here, Isaiah. How have you thought the first couple of bowl games have gone?
I'm hanging on a thread here on bets that I don't do any research on, as in the game's about to start and I just feel like making an extra bet because it seems that everything I try to do with these bowls so far, the opposite happens. Good stuff if you're following my picks.
I will say that this kind of happened to us early last bowl season, if I remember correctly. Remember, we took like a licking in the first couple of games, and then I think it was like the third or fourth bowl game when like finally a team we bet to cover didn't cover, but they came really close to covering, and I was like, oh, okay, we had the right side, and then we went on a tear. I'm hoping that happens here. There have been some very weird results, some teams that have not shown up, some teams that have shown up for a couple of quarters and then decided to, I don't know, go partying or something. I don't know. It's been rough for some of these games. Cal just didn't show up at all. That was hilarious. Yeah, like people are starting third stringers you've never seen before. It's great. So, yeah. So I think before we get into the bowl preview, I think we want to just do a very quick recap of yesterday's, what was it? The Scooters Coffee Bowl?
Coffee Frisco Bowl.
Yeah, so Isaiah and I saw it. Buck unfortunately didn't see it, so we're going to give Buck a little bit of a recap here of this absolutely amazing game between UTSA and Marshall. The spread originally in this game, as Buck knows, was about 12.5, 11.5, something like that. But then early in the day, it just started crashing. And I was like, that's weird. Why is it? Frank Harris is, again, as many know, he's a classic college football player. Been playing for many years. I think it's like 7 years. This would be his great send-off last game as a UTSA Roadrunner. UTSA's never run a bowl game, so you're like, perfect. This is exactly what bowl games are meant for. They're meant for a player like Frank Harris to come in there, win a bowl game, everybody feels happy, you dump whatever beverage or thing is associated with the bowl on, everybody's happy, yeah. But that didn't happen because apparently Frank Harris has an injury, so he opted out of the game. So the line crashed to 7. So in place, we got Josh McCowan's kid starting for UTSA, and then we got Chet Pennington's kid starting for Marshall. And I'll let Isaiah begin the recap from there.
So it's funny because we went into this game and I was so confident that Marshall was just not going to score. And then Marshall scored the first at least 14. I can't remember if it was 14 or 17. They were up at least 14-0.
It was 14, yeah.
14. And it was weird though because they were up 14-0, but I was watching it and I was like, I'm still not feeling Marshall right now. And it turns out that gut was correct because UTSA put up 21 in the second, and for all intents and purposes, the game was over at that point, but then we needed to know whether we were going to cover or not. And then we get into the second half, and I would like to say apparently there was a member of the Sickos committee at the game, and clearly he was writing the script because it went so off the rails for Marshall in the second half, and you had the weirdest not arm punt but arm punt interception on fourth down where he's like trying to throw the ball away, but he throws it away so badly that the defender is just, yeah, I'll take that and I'll return it. You had some really questionable refereeing from, I think it was, Conference USA, whatever crew was doing this game was just not very good. You had It was just really weird to end that game. And the Marshall quarterback just totally melted down in that last, mainly that last quarter. So you ended up getting the cover on not only the closing line, but the original line as well. And then, of course, the UTSA coach gets the ice latte bath at the end of the game, which almost hit a live, which they did it in the middle of a live play, and it almost dunked to one of the players on the
It was
field.
the quarterback. It was the quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, the quarterback was rolling out right, throws the ball away, and then has to dodge coffee. And apparently that's not a penalty. They're just like, yeah, whatever, this game is done. We're done with this game.
I think that the thing about this game is, for as weird or as annoying or as not great as some of these early bowls have been, this game is like why when you have Roll Tide 75 or Go Bucks 59 on Twitter saying these games don't count, these games don't matter. I'm watching a game like this and I'm having fun. I'm laughing. I'm like, this game rocks. And then you watch these players when the coach gets the iced latte bath or the Idaho Potato Bowl coach is going to get the French fry bath. I'm just like, if you watch this and you say this game doesn't matter, I'm so disappointed in you because this game rocked.
Yeah, it was really fun. One of the best parts was the end sequence. So they dump the coffee on the coach mid-play. Refs say nothing. They're like, that's totally fine. And literally they dump, and then because of that, him and 4 other people run out onto the field in the middle of a play. They're like, nah, it's fine. Let's just get out of here. Then they throw up basically on what was the last play of the game. They throw a deep pass. It's caught. The guy goes down on like the 4 with 3 seconds left. They theoretically should have stopped the wind of the clock to get everybody. They're just like, nope, it's over, go home. And it's just like, now it's lucky for us because had they scored, it would have screwed our cover. But they're also just like, nah, it's whatever, just go home. Everybody goes home, that's it. I also have to note the probably worst ever roughing the passer penalty. Basically, the one defensive lineman, the quarterback drops back, the Marshall quarterback drops back. The defensive lineman surges forward, goes to bat down the pass. So basically he jumps up, bats down the pass, and the pass is deflected that way. But as he's bringing his arms down, he like lightly touches the quarterback's helmet and shoulder pads. They're like roughing the passer. The quarterback doesn't even fall down, has no reaction. They're like roughing the passer 15 yards. I was like, what?
The thing I don't understand, and this is not in the rule book, so technically that's correct, but I think they should fix this. I don't understand why the tipped pass doesn't nullify the roughing the, because I could understand if you tip the pass and then you continue and you just plow into him. I understand that. But you tip the pass and you just barely graze the side of his helmet. Come on.
That's not how it works for punters. Because punters, if you block the punt, you can literally murder the punter. They're like, it's fine.
Fair game.
Yeah. But this apparently, you can't just lightly touch. And it's the helmet, too. If you, like, hit his neck or something, but he touched his helmet, they're like roughing the passer. And then the next play, they immediately take away 10 yards. They're like, they're just immediately holding on Marshall. Knocked it back.
Yeah, and it was like immediately that holding play comes out. Oh man, they know they messed that up.
Guys, come on. Players are coached when you're defending. You don't follow through. You just go straight up, vertical, and you don't foul a 3-point shooter, right? Or am I mistaken?
But if you tip a pass or if you tip a shot in basketball, then you know what? Then it's not a foul.
You know what? That's true. Yeah, I stand corrected. Boy, I couldn't even bring a lame basketball joke into that without being wrong.
You tried to bring a basketball joke into a conversation with a basketball referee.
With a Purdue guy, that was, my fault.
But yeah, that was, and this is the point, because some people are saying that, these bowl games are meaningless, and there is going to be a conversation in the next couple of years about these bowl games when we start looking at the 12-team playoff. And something we actually haven't even talked about yet, it's that new division, because it's just so early right now, that new division of football that they're going to try to create that's like the schools paying the players. There's going to be so many conversations about what all that means and then what the place of those bowl games is. And I think there will be something for them, but I'm not sure if it's going to look the same way as it does now in however many years. Yeah, I still love these bowls. I think we should enjoy these bowls while we can.
My last hot take is that I think a lot of these bowls are going to end up being better than the 12-team playoff bowls. At least in terms of just sheer, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. value.
See, the way I think this ends is this ends with a basically super league of the top teams, and then there's another league below that league, but above the current FCS teams, like that middle tier league, and that's like UTSA, Marshall, all those like middle five and some of the lower Power Five schools. They're going to be in this league, and I think there's going to be a point where they sit down and they say, literally nothing is stopping us. Let's make our own 32-team playoff and just call it a day. And I think that's going to be through Christmas, and people are going to love that. So, although maybe Frank Harris doesn't get a chance to win the Scooters Bowl or whatever, now he gets to maybe potentially go after a division, whatever they're going to call it, trophy. So, I think that's the replacement. I think that could be really fun.
Yeah, I think there's only so much December action that we can take before it gets a little bit too much.
Fair.
There are going to be some people who object to you saying that.
I'm sorry. I'm a Mac supporter, so take it up with, I don't know. DM me on Twitter. I'll take on everybody that has an issue with that. Okay. Apology for the sneezes and coughs and all that good stuff, but we'll get through this. Part 2 of the bowl previews. Just a reminder, I have it here. So for this episode, Robert is going to make his own lines for each of the bowls through the Cotton Bowl Classic. And then Isaiah and I will pick against his lines at -110 for an update where we stand after these. What was it? The Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. I am at +920. Robert and Isaiah are at -460. We will not impute anything big from that yet because it is early, although I am feeling strong about my line-making skills, which have nothing to do, of course, with being lucky on all kinds of quarterback opt-outs and all kinds of December action, as I said earlier. So with that being said, let's go to the first bowl here. Just the Quick Lane Bowl. Wow, a tame name here. So we got Bowling Green versus Minnesota. These lines are as of last night. Minnesota giving 4. Total of 39.5. Of course, that means that a Big Ten West team is involved here. Minnesota is down to QB3, if I remember correctly. The Greek Rifle is in the portal. He preceded another guy, or he followed another guy to the portal, QB2. So I have no information on the Minnesota quarterback, which it might still be more promising than the quarterback situation for our guy Connor Bazelak, bum list regular at Bowling Green State in his apex of 65. The only squad what stands out to me here that is anything worth anything is really Bowling Green State's defense. I've got this Bowling Green by 7. Robert, your projections have Bowling Green by 14. So you've got 2 really disparate data points here. What are you going to make this one?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go full on Bowling Green -2.5. I think the thing is, yes, although putting your faith in Connor Bazelak is never really a fun thing to do, I think that's better than whatever quarterback Minnesota is going to drag up and put out there in this game. There seems to be some problems with this Minnesota team. I think early on in the season, I remember some people quoting saying this is like a cult. People seem to be leaving the cult, which is never a good sign. So I'm gonna go with putting Bowling Green as the favorite here, and I see this 3.5, and I'm gonna be grabbing this 3.5 pretty quickly.
So you said Bowling Green given 2.5 is your
2.5, yeah, 2.5, yeah.
Okay, Isaiah.
Yep. I'm gonna give Bowling Green the 2.5. I'm already on the money line, actually, straight up on Bowling Green. I got this at, I want to say it was +156 when I got it. I know the dangers in trusting former Indiana legend Connor Bazelak, but like you said, we've got an offense in Minnesota already struggled with who was supposed to be the quarterback of the future. He's gone, and you've got a couple running backs, right? But this is a pretty good MAC defense you're going up against, and I think this will be a low-scoring game, as the Big Ten West and the total predicts, but there's something wrong with the vibes around Minnesota. Also, Minnesota shouldn't even be here, right? They're 5-7. They got in on a technicality. Yeah, I will absolutely give the points to Bowling Green.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. Minnesota's offense worked for maybe about 20 minutes all of the season, and then now they're I don't know. This is one of those games where I think it becomes December action just because it's basically your prelude to spring practice and just seeing what QB3 can do in his first live action with all of 2 weeks to prepare. I've got Bowling Green just like you, Isaiah. I've got the money line already, plus the points as well. So this is one of my few bets in the bowl season. So,
So yeah, both on Bowling Green minus 2.5.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Go to the next slide here. The Serve Pro First Responder Bowl. Texas State versus Rice. Texas State giving 5.5. Pretty high total of 59.5, which, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. JT Daniels is out, so I'm having a little bit of a hard time lining up the total with the margin here. Let's not forget just how god-awful Rice's offense has been basically forever without JT Daniels. I don't think that this is an awesome scheme overhaul that really had their offense move up to all of a minus 0.5 for the season. Texas State, their offense is a huge improvement. We've talked about them a lot all during the season. Yeah, you've got two bad defenses here. When you do have TJ Finley in his nice 122 apex in what is clearly a better conference than the American. Got this by 3, Texas State by 3. You've got it, Robert, more like 17. And again, you've got a big disparity here between your margin and the market. So what are you going to make this one?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Texas State minus 6.5. I agree that Texas State should be favored here, but Texas State has let us down in the past. Most notably against Arkansas State, that was unforgivable. But Arkansas State did make a bowl, though. But whatever. I don't completely trust Texas State, but at the same time, I definitely don't trust Rice without JT Daniels. So I'm going to make the 6.5.
All right, Isaiah.
That's a tough line because I think when I look at these teams, right, I don't even think the Rice offense, based on what I'm looking at right now, was honestly that good, even with JT Daniels.
Yeah.
Finished the season, they put up 24, 28, 14, 31. But like you said, Texas State has been a little bit on and off. I don't see anything particularly impressive, though, with the Rice defense that makes me think that they're going to overcome not having Daniels here. So I'm going to begrudgingly lay the points with Texas State, but I'm not going to like it.
Yeah, I will point out, too, when people do a good job, I definitely give them credit. The Action Network has an awesome summary of who's opted out, who's in the portal, who is going pro, who doesn't give a crap, all kinds of good stuff on the bowl games. I didn't see anything about TJ Finley, so I'm assuming that he's still in this one. I just think, given how bad Texas State was for so long, I think that they are going to give much more of an effort than your typical bowl team here. As I just went through the intro to this game, I was really talking myself into taking Texas State. My metrics have it only by 3, but my metrics are player indifferent, so it doesn't really reflect the big drop off from JT Daniels to this poor chap who's got a 70 apex. So, like you, Isaiah, I'm also going to go with Texas State. The guaranteed. Go ahead.
That's going to be one where I'm going to know within the first 5 minutes of that game whether I regret that or not.
You know what? I would actually say there might be any point in time where it's just, okay, Texas State gives a crap. And as long as they get that anytime before maybe the fourth quarter, I think that they get that. As long as they don't sleepwalk through the first 45 minutes, I think we're good there. The Guaranteed Rate Bowl, I'm thinking, since there's a cactus here, I think this is that one. Maybe I'm wrong. Is this the one that's streamed by Barstool? Or is there a separate Barstool Bowl?
Nope, that's the Arizona Bowl.
Of course. Okay. Oh, so now we're in that clever. Oh, this one's in Glendale. This one's in Tempe. This one's in Tucson. This one's
This one's in a baseball stadium. This is our first bowl in a baseball stadium.
This is in the downtown Phoenix one.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. 2 teams that did really well this year. Unfortunately, they landed here. 2 really good quarterbacks, a really good head coach in Lance Leipold against a really good offensive coordinator in Brendan Marion. I haven't seen him plucked away from there yet. Going by the metrics here, I think the biggest standout here is, as I predicted coming into the season, to pat myself in the back, Kansas's defense took another step forward this season, and their offense just kept on moving forward. You've got a really underrated team here in Kansas, or I guess I'd say underappreciated. I think it's weird to say that in the context of their opponent being UNLV, who had an awesome turnaround season from out of nowhere and who was also underappreciated. I just think that Kansas just gets completely overlooked. I've got this by 10. I think that this might be a little bit of the end of the story for UNLV. UNLV, if I remember correctly, had a chance to get in their conference championship game, and they dusted off the BCS computers who said, not so fast, my friend. So I don't know if they'll come out flat or not. Kansas, it seems, wants to play anyone, anytime, any place, even UNLV. So tangibles and intangibles, I'm going to go into my own number here. I like it a little north of 10. Robert, you've got it 15, which kind of like my gut tells me is more in line here. Not too far off the line or the market of 12.5. High total here is 64.5. So what are you making this line?
Yeah, this one was, I think, tough for me. I think I'm going to leave it. I think maybe just nudge it up a little to 13.5. The line is 12.5 is that line where you're like, okay, they're more than a touchdown, but are they more than like two touchdowns, or is it a touchdown and a field goal? So
Yep.
I'll lay it at 13.5. This one I struggled with.
All right, Isaiah, you taking or giving on 13.5?
It's an interesting point you said about Kansas, because I think what happened with Kansas was they came on to this. They had so many years of being awful, and then Leipold comes in and it's, oh my gosh, look at Kansas. And then this year it's, oh, Kansas is 8-4. And everybody forgets that, wait, that's good. Like, Kansas is good. And they were fun to watch again. And UNLV is like last year's Kansas, but this year. So I think this is actually an interesting matchup in that I have been a cheerleader for UNLV this year just because I love stories like this. I don't know if they certainly don't have the defense to match up with Kansas. I think the over is absolutely in play here. I'm going to give the 13.5 to UNLV here and take a shot on that. I think this will be a fun game to watch, at least.
Yeah, I agree. I think that not reflected in my margin here, but probably reflected a little more in Roberts is just the problems that they had in going from, again, starting with Jalen Daniels to Jason Bean to Ballard or Mallard or whatever his name was for like 3 games, and now back to Jason Bean. I think that's going to be straightened out now. My numbers have Kansas's form dirtied up a little bit. I like Roberts a little more here, so I'm after saying, hey, you guys keep on making the same picks, I'm going to agree with you again, Isaiah, and go with Kansas here. So we agree on the first 3 here. And thank you for the information.
No, I gave UNLV the points. I'm giving UNLV the points. Sorry.
Wait.
Yeah, he's taking the 13.5.
I'm going plus 13.5.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. How wrong you are. We'll see. Okay. The Military Bowl presented by GoBowling.com. I actually forgot that bowling was a sport. Maybe this made more sense to you all since you are in different time zones where bowling's not really a thing here. I thought Go Bowling was like a reference to actually teams making a bowl game. This really confused me for 1 minute.
At first I thought that too, but I'm like, oh wait, no, there's the sport of bowling.
Yeah. Okay.
So wait, there's no bowling on the West Coast?
You know what? I don't know. It's a secret society. It's like a speakeasy that nobody really admits to.
Is it really Virginia Tech minus 10? Is that real?
Yeah.
That's what it was yesterday, yeah.
Now, Michael Pratt is not playing.
Oh, okay. Okay. No,
yeah. And yeah, when I did this graphic, I didn't know. That line made me think, although there was nothing official, that basically he was going to be out. The Virginia Tech quarterback, I forget his name. I'm going to confuse him with Drones is his name. His first name
Kyron Drones.
Kyron Drones, not Caden Salter. Yes. He actually came on during the season. He had a little bit of a slow start. I don't even think he was a start at the beginning of the season, but then they finally figured out that this guy's better. Something that our friends in Charlottesville should have figured out in terms of their quarterback situation.
They basically the quarterback situation in this game is just delicious because you've got the opt-out for Tulane, and then you've got Virginia Tech, the team that could have very easily fired their coach until they realized that playing quarterbacks that know how to play football is better than playing quarterbacks who don't know how to play football. Coincidentally, the moment where they discovered that was after they got embarrassed at home by my not very good Purdue Boilermakers.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm just taking all this with a grain of salt. I've got actually Tulane by 10. Wasn't Pratt out for the beginning of the season?
He was out 1 game against Ole Miss.
Okay. And I do remember, and they did lose that game. I do remember when we did the American preview, we didn't know how long Pratt was going to be out. And Josh, I think, was on that preview with us. He said, look, those receivers are good enough. They'll get themselves open. I don't know how many of those receivers are still with the team for the bowl game. But having said that, even with them, their offense just isn't the same as last year. Also, you've got Willie Fritz is now at Houston. Another one of these awesome bowl dynamics. Don't know what that means. I've got Tulane by 10. Robert, you've actually got Virginia Tech by 9. I don't remember if you had Pratt out.
I would have had Pratt.
Okay. You're probably at a minimum liking the market, if not goosing that up a little bit, I'm guessing.
No, actually, maybe, because I can't remember. Let me just double check to see if I have Pratt or not. Yeah, I have Michael Pratt. Yeah, so I have Michael Pratt, and I already have Virginia minus 9. Yeah, I'm of the belief, and it's not just Pratt. There are a couple other opt-outs, too. I'm going Virginia Tech minus 13.5 here. Let's see how much you really want a Michael Pratt-less Tulane.
Did you say 15?
13.5.
13.5, okay.
Let's see how much you guys really want to bet on Tulane minus Michael Pratt.
You tell me, Isaiah.
First of all, every time I bet a Virginia Tech game in the postseason, and shout out to my friend who has a connection to Virginia Tech that I don't have to go into, but knows this story. Every time I bet Virginia Tech in the postseason, they find a way to screw me over. And that's not why I'm making this bet, but I am going to take Tulane in the points. Because if we look at that game where Pratt didn't play against Ole Miss, they still put up 20 points. And I think, not that Ole Miss is a defensive powerhouse, but I think this is a team that has enough in the tank, that has a competent enough, I don't know, vibe or what it is. I just think this is a very good team, and I think they can overcome, at least not getting blown out by Virginia Tech. And in true Virginia Tech fashion, I'm sure they're going to win by 20 now that I've said that. But.
Isn't Tulane's head coach the coach at Houston now?
Yeah, he is. He got the Houston job. I'm again going to take the other side of this. I'm gonna give the 13.5. I think Virginia Tech is being. I'll put it this way: I didn't have them anywhere close to a bowl game this season. I thought maybe they might win 5 games at the most. The fact that they're in a part 2 bowl, let's call it, that shows progress. And I think that, not to make this all about the psychological edge, I think that they're going to have a lot more to play for than Tulane without their coach, without their quarterback. One or the other I could probably see, but both of those that's a lot to overcome. I feel like I'm going to be beaten into Isaiah's gang here and regretting playing Virginia Tech in the postseason, but I'll do it here.
So you're taking.
I'm taking Virginia Tech. Yeah.
The last time I played Virginia Tech in the postseason, and my friend was at that game, it was in Yankee Stadium, and they got absolutely mauled by Maryland. Just absolutely destroyed. I don't know. Something's in the water in Blacksburg.
It's a new Virginia Tech.
I got you guys on the opposite side, so that means I get arbitrage, right?
Yeah.
All right.
You're doing what I failed to do.
Plus EV. All right. Next up. Yeah.
Duke's Mayo Bowl, the OG of the let's pour weird stuff on the coach at the end of the game bowl. Drake May is out. I think his backup is taken. I think it's actually the third quarterback there, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's taken like 12 snaps in his career. Garrett Green, I didn't realize he had such a good season passing the ball. Apex is 122. Obviously, with May out, this offensive rating for North Carolina is taken with a huge grain of salt. My metrics have North Carolina by 6. Obviously, the absence of May is moving this line a lot. My line's in line with Roberts, who clearly has May in his. The other thing that's a little interesting here is I think the West Virginia coach was probably on the hottest hot seat coming into the season, Neil Brown. It seemed like a lot of people expected him to be fired after last season. Their good start and then their good finish after it looked like it might go to crap in the middle of the season. It looks like they've had a pretty good recruiting class, too. It seems like, from an intangible standpoint, all things are really on the side of West Virginia. So, with the market at West Virginia giving 6.5, clearly that reflects May being out. What are you going to do in terms of the line, Robert?
Yeah, I'm going to make you guys think real hard about betting Mac Brown. Think about it. West Virginia minus 7.5.
All right. How about I go first this time?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't like the new quarterback that doesn't have any experience trying to fill in such big shoes. If this guy was going in for our guy, Connor Bazelak, I'd feel a little better. That's a pretty quarterback-dependent system. I don't know how much you can all of a sudden change the focus and say, okay, we're going to go from being a zebra to being a mule, and we're going to be successful in 2 or 3 weeks to prepare. So I'll gladly give the 7.5.
Okay. Isaiah?
God, I dislike you so much right now.
Yeah.
You're asking
Doing a good job.
You're asking me to bet on Mac Brown with a backup or West Virginia.
Actually, it's the backup's backup, which makes it even worse.
Oh. I feel like I should just toss a coin here.
There's worse ones coming up, don't worry.
I know. You know what? I can't Mac Brown. I can't do it. I'm going to give West Virginia the points. I cannot do it.
I want to say more about this game too. Yeah, the 7.5 is I'm 100% on West Virginia here. Mac Brown should probably be fired. So yeah, this team absolutely collapsed. They completely let down Drake May in his final season. They're like, oh, we've built this amazing team and Tez Walker and all this stuff. I just want, this is like a mini North Carolina rant because I was thinking about this game a lot. Like they were like, oh, we need to get this. This is Drake May's final season. You're North Carolina. You're supposed to be like a powerhouse and all this stuff. And then they're like, oh, Tez Walker, we're trying to get this kid in the waiver. And it's like, he's going to be a number 1 receiver. And I'm like, okay, why is your number 1 receiver a transfer from a MAC school? And that's not taking away from Tez Walker. I think he's a great athlete and a great wide receiving prospect. But that was your best choice at wide receiver? Was a kid? There are problems here. And there's clearly some issues on recruiting here. There's a bunch of them hitting the portal as well. Notably the backup for Drake May. Yeah. And West Virginia, okay, I'm not the most enthusiastic about West Virginia, but I can't take this North Carolina team. This North Carolina team could like disintegrate in the absence of Drake May here. So
also, is it just me or just every time there's even a hint of expectations on Mac Brown, they just dissolve?
Yeah.
And that's with Drake May. Like, how many times have I been told in the preseason that UNC is going to be a force, and then they're playing in the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
Yeah.
Not to discourage the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That is a good mayonnaise, and any coach that gets dumped with it is absolutely.
Yeah, we don't have Duke's Mayo out here. Maybe they only serve it at bowling alleys. I don't know.
It is here. It is here in Canada, so I can confirm.
Okay. All right, so we're both on West Virginia there.
-7.5, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of interesting positions for new quarterbacks, more of the same here in a similar line. You've got Louisville with a very nice first year under Jeff Brom going against preseason national champion and going to do everything in the world USC, now in the awesome Holiday Bowl, about which nobody is excited. What's interesting to me here is Miller Moss, the backup quarterback, actually had a better apex in his limited snaps than Caleb Williams. Now, if you remember, there's like a punch, counter punch, and a counter punch here. He's not Caleb Williams running the ball. And if you remember when Caleb Williams got hurt against Utah, USC in the Pac-12 title game literally could not do anything offensively. So much of their offense is predicated on him being both a runner and a passer. Now, counterpunch is, okay, now Lincoln Riley, who's an offensive genius, has a few weeks to actually scheme up something new with a very good passer. Let's see how it all comes out. Quite a few defensive players from USC in the portal. As a USC fan, I don't see any of those as really critical. I don't see myself at any point in October of 24 saying, gosh, I wish we still had player X on the team, who's now at, I don't know, I can't even think of South Carolina, wherever they land. I've got this by 2, but that's with Caleb baked into that. Don't remember if you had Caleb in these numbers or not in yours, but I think you would have to, yeah. Louisville, the market at 7.5 seems fair. Although I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around that versus the total of 57.5, which looks a little light for, I'll just say, looks a little light for any game involving Lincoln Riley. I'll just keep it at that. So, a few data points here. What are you making this one?
I'm going to make you think about this one. -6.5.
Can I take the over instead?
I was about to say that. Yeah. No, I want to take the over instead.
You said a total instead, and we can put the total.
Total is 88.
Yeah.
I look at that total, and I think setting 57.5 as a total for that's like setting like 47 for a game involving Iowa.
Yeah. Actually, I don't hate the over in that game. I might bet the over in that game, actually, yeah.
I'm absolutely going to bet. I'm writing it down right now.
Maybe that's the total for Louisville. I just got the wrong information. I don't know. All right, I'll let you go first, Ezzy, on this one.
My biggest concern with USC, and it's not just like quarterback situation. And did you see? There's no way he's playing Caleb Williams. There's no way.
Oh no, he's out.
Yeah, I thought
Williams is out.
Okay.
A couple other ones too. I think.
I was just looking at the QB apex, and I'm like, there's no way. But yeah, even if he was playing.
So no, this is actually the backups apex.
Oh, he's that okay? But even if Caleb Williams was playing this game. The biggest problem with laying points or betting spreads on USC is you have to hope that at some point Lincoln Riley attempts to stop the other team from going into the end zone. And not that betting on Jack Plummer makes me very confident. And I watched a lot of Jack Plummer, so I'm quite aware. And I've also watched Jeff Brom attempt to manage big game situations, which let's just say that I wasn't – first of all, I don't hope. Nothing against him, but I was not surprised that he let Florida State's backup destroy their chances in the ACC championship. I'm gonna give Louisville the points.
You take the points, right? Yeah.
Oh,
no, sorry. Oh, Lay.
No, it's Lay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you confused me there. Sorry, you taking USC or Louisville?
I'm taking Louisville. If Lincoln Riley gets some stops, then it will be the first time.
Yeah.
Or Jack Plummer. It will be Jack Plummer.
I think I'm going to go with USC, just given the fact that I can maybe see some improvement on defense now that they've actually had weeks after Grinch has been gone, rather than, yeah, I know you're used to just like yelling at defensive linemen. Now you're the defensive coordinator. There's a little bit more of a time. So that's the only angle. I think you shaded it really smartly here, going 6.5.
Yeah, I actually do like the 7.5 because I agree with that. I think Louisville looked horrible in the ACC championship game against Florida State's third-string quarterback, and their defense completely shut them down. If that was Jordan Travis, it would have been like 40-10. Yeah.
All right, Texas A&M versus Oklahoma State in the Tax Act Texas Bowl. Interesting sighting for the Tax Act since there's no income tax, as they probably say in Texas.
Yeah.
Oddly, an odd number here of 2 as well. Total of 53. Just insinuates it's an average game. I forget how far we're going down the depth chart to get this Texas A&M apex of 139. I don't know who that is. I know Max Johnson is. I think Max Johnson's in the portal, right?
I think he got injured.
Did he get in? I wonder if he got. Yeah, I was gonna say. I wonder if
there's the rare both.
Yeah.
Jesus, all the quarterbacks they've torn through at Texas A&M. I forget this kid's name, but he actually had good numbers. He's played in a few games.
Jalen Henderson.
Okay. Yeah.
Is Elko coaching this game, or is it going to be?
No, it's still Elijah Robinson, who then is headed to Syracuse, but to be defensive coordinator. But he's hanging around to coach this one, which I think is a good sign. The thing that sticks out to me is the defensive matchup. Texas A&M did have a good defense all season. The defensive line coach, interim head coach, is staying around. Oklahoma State, we felt that they were fraudulent, even when they had their nice little run in the middle of the season. I see that being the difference right here. I've got Texas A&M by 9. Robert, you got them by 17, although I'd be curious which quarterback you have in there for Texas A&M. Not that it matters. I'm going to be kind here and just say, I'm going to frame it really nicely since it's the holiday season. I'm going to say that Texas A&M's culture will not allow them to really no-show a bowl. I'm going to leave out all the other stuff around about their culture. So I A&M here in line with both our numbers. You've got big margins between your number and the 2 of the market. So I'm imagining you're going to shade this one up quite a bit.
I'm going Texas A&M minus 6.5. And fun fact, if you remember back to one of our first episodes, we did the SEC preview pod, and we did quarterback room rankings for Thing. And I wrote them out on a piece of paper, and if you remember correctly, I didn't remember how to write an ampersand, so it's Texas A&M. Guess what I did again, and it's Texas A plus M again.
So maybe the stake is mine.
Texas A plus M minus 6.5.
A plus M. Okay.
Yes.
6.5. What are you thinking on that, Isaiah?
My first thought when I saw this bowl game get announced was it's the Tax Act Underperformers Bowl. But yeah, I trust neither of these teams. But the reason that I never trust Texas A&M is being paid the entire GDP of the state of Texas to not coach there anymore. Whereas I still don't trust Oklahoma State, and that hasn't changed. So I'll lay the points with Texas A&M.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not really excited to back A&M, just as a rule. But again, Oklahoma State, even when they had their nice run there, I think it was just a variance thing. I mean, Jesus, I think I had them how to put this? I think I had them as the worst Big 12 team that was in the Big 12 last year, if that makes sense. So they were behind the teams, or they were ahead of the teams that moved up. It was just a sham that they were in the conference title game.
It's weird too, because when they went on that run too, all of those games I felt really good about betting Oklahoma State, and then all of a sudden I didn't. Like when UCF destroyed them, I was on UCF money line. So there were some major fraud alert about that team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit worried because that run they did show some gumption, but I just, being so far down in a conference that's much lesser than the SEC, and if you have a 5.0 defensive rating, you've got some serious guys on defense at least, and the quarterback apex is better than I expected. Yep. You made us eat 4 points. Good job by you, Robert.
Yeah.
Okay. The Wasabi Fenway Bowl is that like some kind of like tech company, I think? Is that right? Anybody know?
I think it has to be.
No, Buck, it's a little root. Comes from Japan. They put it on
okay.
Sushi.
Thank you. I appreciate the education on that, as my wife is from Japan. Thank you.
It's an American object storage service. So yeah, some kind of cloud storage.
Okay. But not a wasabi green logo here in the bowl. This is one of the easiest ones for me. Thomas Castellanos had a really nice start, and then boy, he just really, I think he ended the season on the bum list if I remember correctly. This other kid, Jennings, I think is his name. He came in for a couple games. He was actually surprisingly good in the American Conference game. Great job by the American Conference. Your champ is in the Wasabi's Fenway Bowl. Maybe work on that, guys, if you want to still pretend to be a power conference. I don't have the numbers as close here. Now, maybe they should be closer with Preston Stone out. But if you saw the American game, the American title game, yeah, they lose something without Stone, but it's not like they become a completely different team. And my gosh, look at the power rating for BC. As much as a step back they took on offense, they were worse on defense, which is, hey, that's supposedly the head coach's strength, former defensive coordinator at Ohio State. So I've got SMU by 22. You've got them by 14. You've got the right quarterback in your projections. Line is 11. I'm guessing you're going to shade this up a little bit to some tricky number, right short of a touchdown. Yeah, exactly. Makes sense. How did I know? Okay. I'll let you tackle that one first, Isaiah.
How long? Oh my gosh, it was 2019. But was Ohio State's defense even good? Because
that's why they got. That was 19. I actually had them that season ranked ahead of LSU in total overall strength of team.
Okay. So it was after that when Ryan Day started to commit to not defending at all.
That's when then he promoted Kerry Combs, and that really was.
Okay. Yeah. I just needed to have a status check there, because I was like, I really hope that as much as Boston College would absolutely hire the guy responsible for letting Iowa and Purdue run all over Ohio State, I feel like I have a moral obligation to not bet on Boston College. Do we have ground game against Boston College, or the ground game against Boston College metrics for this game?
Oh my
That's
gosh.
not serious, but
Yeah, the name of the metric might have to change this year.
Yeah, they lost their title, although we'll see who actually. Yeah, I don't know if I have
Probably like ULM or something.
But yeah, I don't think there's any line you can give me where I would bet on Boston College. So
yeah, I also think Thomas Castellanos is in the portal too. Yeah, it's.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm not betting on.
Wow.
I'm not betting on Boston College. So give me SMU.
Okay.
And maybe with that short home run distance, they'll probably throw some footballs into the stands too.
Yes. We're going to keep it GGAB because the worst rushing team on an average basis was Colorado. So it'll be ground game above Buffalo's.
Okay.
Yeah, I like you. There's no way I could back BC in this spot. I don't even know about Castellanos. That just makes a bad situation even worse. And I had no hesitation before. So we're both going with SMU here.
Okay. Yeah. And Colorado had the worst ground game. That's nuts.
It makes sense considering their offensive line was so bad. Yeah. All right. The Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl.
Obviously, okay, I get it's the Yankee Stadium fencing.
Yeah.
Is that their logo?
Bad Boy Mowers.
Is that a pit bull? What is that?
We don't have mowers in California either.
Yeah, you don't have any water for the grass to grow. So.
Yeah, true. Maybe it's Bad Boy, like the dog is a bad boy. Bad boy, don't do that. Yeah, I thought Bad Boy would be like some guy with a tattoo and I don't know, whatever kind of other appellation you want to throw in there.
This, on the other hand, would be a bowl to where if you were to tell me that this game doesn't exist, I would go, you know what? You might have a point on that one.
Yeah, maybe they should call it the Bad Quarterback Pinstripe Bowl. Look at these Apex numbers here. My gosh. Now, Van Dyke was struggled in the season, but his backup, look at those numbers. Those are special. A 70 Apex. I'm not quite understanding the 5.4 offensive rating, although there's a lot I don't understand about Miami. For example, how can you have a power rating of 8.9 in the ACC and wound up in the Bad Quarterback Pinstripe Bowl? The answer is always Mario. I'm scared of this one. Robert, you and I both have Miami by a considerable margin here, and every time we've had that before, we've basically said, oh, Jesus, and we held our breath and just not exhaled for 3.5 hours. So good luck with this one.
And now, to be fair, that's with Tyler Van Dyke. So I'm not 1,000% sure I can do this. I'm fairly sure I can, but I'm just making this a pick. Go have luck.
Can I go under on this?
Actually, yeah, 40 seems like an insanely high. Like, poor Rutgers, right? They start 6-0. They go 0-6.
To be fair, they were not an awful team, but if we open up our schedule here, they beat Northwestern at home, which actually ended up being a good win. We didn't know it at the time. Mm-hmm. Then they beat Temple. They beat Virginia Tech at home. And they beat an FCS team. They beat the ghost of Mel Tucker, and they beat Indiana.
Then they played the good teams.
They did play Michigan in between there, and they did not win that game, as some might know. And then, yes, they played Ohio State, which was actually a competitive game at halftime because I was driving to Ann Arbor that weekend, and I remember laughing my butt off. I was like, if Ryan Day finds a way to do this. Then they got shut out by Iowa, which beat by Penn State bad. And then they got absolutely destroyed at home by Maryland, which is probably the one where I go, okay. On the other hand, you're asking me to take hard-earned, non-existent money and lay it with Mario Cristobal. And I hate both of these decisions.
It's a pick.
Yeah.
I am a Big Ten guy, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Rutgers. And I have no reason to do that. But I guess I could say that it will probably be snowing or something at Yankee Stadium. And it's also 45 minutes from Piscataway. Whereas Miami fans just have to not want to be here at all. Yeah, I'll go with Rutgers.
Yeah, you cannot, to me, ascribe logic or reason to this one. I'm just going to go with a scenario where this is going to be just definitive December Maction, in which case I think, I'll put it this way. If there's something stupid that decides this game, it absolutely will be Miami doing something stupid. Chiano could have 80 total yards, but still pull out a victory because he won't do something dumb. He might just do nothing and just outcoach Mario because that's this formula there. So we're both on Rutgers. Good job by you, Robert. Making us eat 1.5 points. But yeah, I definitely would not cut in line to bet this one in real life, no matter what. Strangely watchable, though. I think we would agree.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is up there with Iowa, Nebraska.
I watched the Big Ten West. There's nothing this game can do to me that I haven't already seen.
I would say it's more watchable than Iowa, Nebraska, because you've just got like the whole suspense of like when or if is Mario going to just do the dumb thing, and how great is it going to be?
Because it was like the Iowa Nebraska game ended in the most Nebraska fashion and the most Iowa fashion, but it wasn't, unlike before, it wasn't Scott Frost causing them to absolutely melt that. Like, they just did it on them. It was like the ghost of Scott Frost possessed the stadium. Whereas in this one, I fully expect Miami to be up like 3 points and only have to knee the ball down, and then Mario decides he's going to go for a first down. I don't know why he would do that, but
yeah, doesn't want the kneel play. Too big of a risk of injury.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, how is he going to do it? I guess is the reason to watch.
Maybe that's what we should bet on. We should set Mario blows the game.
Yeah. All right, the Pop-Tarts Bowl. This is the worst logo I've seen so far. Bad job by them. Pop-Tarts or Pop-Tarts.
But it has an edible mascot.
That's the thing. So the big stick for this bowl is that the winning team will eat the mascot somehow.
There you go. All right, NC State versus Kansas State. Kansas State, Will Howard's in the portal. This is that backup who actually was good. I think he's a freshman. He came in like when Will Howard was having a little, I guess I'd say, trouble focusing. Weird that Kansas State would have the quarterback advantage by such a wide margin here. In terms of Apex, 145 for the backup to 73. That 145 backup was really against Big 12 teams, so it's not like he did this, I think, against the CS teams or weaker sisters. What about a difference of 1.5 points in power ratings here between mine? I've got this a 2-point game. Robert's more in line with my gut, although I'm guessing you probably have Will Howard in that projection, because I don't think he was in the portal at that time. So I don't know if the Will Howard absence normalizes that by like 21 points. That's kind of what that would imply.
Yeah, this year the model has done a lot better job of not having weird teams, but this year it seems like the two were Kansas State and Oregon. I'm not sure exactly why. I'm going to look into that, but Kansas State was a weird one when if you looked at it on a per game basis, we always have like Kansas State favored by 20 or something weird. So
they got a lot of very generous lines their way.
Yeah. So this one, I actually really like NC State here. I think the loss of Will Howard actually hurts them. NC State keeps Brandon Armstrong, and he's actually been doing really well the last couple of weeks, most notably somehow beating North Carolina. I'm still not sure it happened, and it wasn't close. They destroyed them. So, yeah, I'm going to have NC State minus 2.5 here.
All right. Isaiah, I'll let you go first on this one.
That's an interesting line because the first thing I look at, I think these are both, even taking into account who's playing, who's not, these are both solid teams. I think they're pretty well coached. So I started looking at like momentum because I often like to look at these bowl games in terms of who's coming into them hot. Kansas State was like a roller coaster at the end. Like they almost beat Texas. They were like they lost in overtime to Texas. They upset Kansas at Kansas, and then they lost to Iowa State. So it's like up and down. Whereas NC State won their last 5, but Clemson wasn't as good, and they're at home. Miami, I don't really take much from that. Wake Forest, Virginia Tech. North Carolina, they won at home. Is that Mac Brown being Mac? I don't know. So everything I would normally work on gut here really just doesn't fly. I'll take the points with NC State, or I'll lay the points with NC State.
Lay the points with NC State. Okay, NC State -2.
I don't know. Is losing to Iowa State enough for me to say I don't want to bet you? I don't know.
What about you, Buck?
I'm just gonna. I guess there's two things in here. I like the coaching matchup of Kleeman over Doran. I think in terms of when you're talking about opt-outs and all the things that can go wrong, I think when you've got a backup quarterback like this who's got a lot to prove, this is almost like talking myself into USC again. I think this is about as good as it gets. You've got a guy who's good, who definitely wants to show out. I didn't know NC State's defense was that good. But, yeah, I'll just go coaching and quarterback, and I'll actually take the 2.5 that you're giving me on that.
Okay.
All right, next. Sneaky, really good game here. Or not even sneaky.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, Valero Alamo Bowl, Arizona giving 3 to Oklahoma. Noah Fafita was just awesome this season. One of the few games that he lost was, oddly enough, to USC. That's just a weird result looking back on that now. 2 really good offenses. Oklahoma's a really good defense at 6.1. Arizona very much improved. Good-ish defense for the Pac-12. I've got Oklahoma by 5 here. The big unknown is that Dylan Gabriel is now, I guess he's not there yet, but he's committed to Oregon. Interesting dynamic. Jackson Arnold was really highly recruited quarterback. He's the one that, I guess we could say, precipitated Gabriel to the portal. This will be his first start. He's not thrown enough passes to really get an apex rating. So there's the promise versus the proven freshman. A lot of interesting points here. Robert's model and my model just are in different directions here. He's more in line with the market here. Your model has it as 4. The market's 3, both in favor of Arizona. What are you gonna offer this one at?
Yeah, so my line is 3, and that's with Dylan Gabriel. So I'm taking away Dylan Gabriel. I'm making it Arizona -6.5.
Wow.
Think about this. First of all, can we talk about how Oklahoma in this game has a significantly higher defensive rating than their opponent?
Please. Yeah. Agree. Yes.
I thought I just have to take a point out to mention that something occurred, and now Oklahoma has a defense. Sorry, Bob.
One thing I don't know is do we know who Oklahoma have they hired offensive coordinator yet? Now that Levy actually got the Mississippi State.
Let's see here. No, I don't see one listed, but maybe I'm missing it.
Okay, and then they probably have the quarterback coach or
either
something.
Way though, the thing about this game, I'm looking at this total, 62.5 and a 3-point line that Vegas is giving me. That indicates to me that Vegas thinks it's going to be a shootout regardless of Gabriel not playing for Oklahoma. And I am inclined to agree with them, even though I think Arizona might be a little bit more motivated in this particular game. Great season for Arizona, kind of coming out of a lot of not great. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this, and if there's a game where there's going to be a lot of points, I don't want to bet a big spread. So I'm gonna take the points on this one.
You're taking, so you're
you said 6.5, right?
Yeah, 6.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a shootout, and I'll take the touchdown if I'm getting a touchdown.
Yeah. Now, if I was smart and if I had the time, I would have looked up and run the numbers and said what was Arizona's offensive rating with under Fafita versus for the whole season. I'm thinking that would probably be closer to what Arizona or Oklahoma's at that 8+. Having said that, I think that for some reason I follow a lot of Oklahoma accounts on Twitter, and I guess they see Gabriel as having a ceiling that he hit during this year. Now, I don't know if Arnold can, out of the gate, be better. I think he'll be motivated. The other thing, too, is I think Oklahoma's defense is just much, much better, and that's Venables' side of the ball. I think if one side really shows up, it's going to be the defense as much as anything. Like I say, I'm going to take Oklahoma, and I'm going to give those 3 points that you gave us and say thank you very much.
All right.
On the 3.5 extra.
You're all taking the Oklahoma plus 6.5. Okay.
You suckered us into it, yeah.
This next one is just
So,
Yeah.
not to be confused with the Tax Act, is the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Clemson versus Kentucky. Man, look at... I hit on this during the season, and I forgot just how bad Cade Klubnik's numbers were. I think it's just funny now to look back to see, wasn't he under one service like the first ever perfect recruit? Like he had... Yeah. I don't think that equates to an apex of 64 under usual circumstances. I might be wrong.
I genuinely wonder now, because I'm looking at Dabo, and everybody already knows Dabo's issues with not modernizing, not refusing to do the portal thing. But now he's had 2 quarterbacks in a row where they're supposed to be the next best thing since sliced bread, and both of them did not look good for Clemson. One of them leaves, goes elsewhere, and looks a whole heck of a lot better. Now, what happens if Klubnik leaves and goes somewhere else and looks a whole heck of a lot better? I don't know.
It's the Clemson offense, capital T, capital C, capital O, is the problem, capital T, capital P.
Then they're playing Kentucky, which is SEC Clemson, except for they never did any of the stuff that Clemson did.
Yeah. Maybe to pick up on where you were going, maybe as I just talked through this, maybe this is just a matter of you got 2 good defenses, one really good, and maybe it's just a matter of I maybe trust Mark Stoops a little more against capital T, capital C, capital O, the Clemson offense, as that's just such a problem. Maybe that's the decisive thing here. I've got this a 1-point game. Roberts actually got this a 2-touchdown game. And Leary, I think, is out of eligibility. Make your own joke here about him going pros and not playing in this one with his 81 apex. So I think he's playing in this one, isn't he?
I think
Devin
so,
Leary?
yeah.
Yeah. 5 is a weird number to begin with. This is just a weird game, too. If you want to make it anything other than the market, God bless you.
3.5.
Clemson 3.5?
Yeah, -3.5.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just so down on Dabo and Clemson right now and that offense. And yeah, their defense is, at least by the metrics that we have here, looks to be better. But I don't know. There's something off about them, and I don't like it. So I'm gonna take the points and go +3.5 with Kentucky on this one. And maybe they burn me. I don't know. Maybe Clemson fans will come into the mentions and remind me that they had Trevor Lawrence once. I don't know. Another thing to note on this game, in case it's close at the end of the game, we have a Pac-12 officiating crew on this one.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go.
So as if a matchup between Clemson and Kentucky couldn't possibly get weirder.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. I think I'm going to go with kind of the theme I just stumbled into when I was laying this one out. I'm going to go with Kentucky just under the guise of I think I like the ability of Stoops to stop Klubnik more than Leary can be stopped, although that seems stupid to say out loud, but okay. All right.
Plus 3.5?
+3.5, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say this. I actually grabbed this like a week ago at +7 in money line. So
Wow.
Yeah, so this has already come down, and then I just shoved it down a little bit extra. So
good job. The Sun Bowl.
The worst bowl, right?
Even they've got Tony the Tiger as a political prisoner where he can't talk about how bad this game is. Yeah. I'm just going to say if you bet on this one, yeah, you are, number one, very confident in your adjustment factors, and number two, you still have a gambling problem. There's just no way. There's no.
This should be the 1-800-GAMBLER Bowl.
Yeah.
Look, we've got an absolutely killer quarterback matchup here between NA and NA.
Yeah. I don't know who either of these quarterbacks are. You're talking about what's left behind Hartman and former Drew Pine and former the kid who went to Alabama, and then Aiden Childs and DJU, and it's Gil Branson, the guy who the guy who didn't throw. He's so good that they didn't have him throw a pass against Oregon in the second half. That's how much they liked him. And Jonathan Smith isn't there. And Jared Parker, this is actually probably a good sign, is no longer. I think he left for Troy to take the Troy job. I don't think he's coaching this one as offensive coordinator for Notre Dame, which will delight our friends at Four Horsemen to no end. So I've got Notre Dame somehow, my number somehow lines up with the market. I think that's just happenstance. Who knows what you have in your projection here? There's no way you have the guys that are actually be taking snaps here. I think your margin's incidental here. Go ahead and set a line for this one, Robert. That'll be fun.
Yeah, the classic, we have no idea what's going to happen. 5.5.
Under.
Under.
I feel like I'm taking unders on all of these bowls. Is that what the transfer portal is doing? Under on every bowl?
In this one, it's particularly, yeah. I don't know. This should be almost a quick conversation. Where are you going to go from this one?
You've got a really good defense in Notre Dame at the least. And not that Oregon State's defense is bad per se, but what are they going to look like with an interim coach? Are they thinking ahead to what they're like honorary Mountain West next year? I feel like the mindset's got to be not great right now with them. And I should also note, this is not a New Year's Day bowl. It is not a New Year's Six bowl. It is not what I would consider a big game, which means you should be safe to bet on Notre Dame. So I'm going to go ahead and take the 5.5 with Notre Dame.
Lay the 5.5. Okay.
Yeah, I will lay the 5.5.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think if there's anything I think that Notre Dame's defense still shows up, and I think that there's probably, even though we don't know what we have behind Sam Hartman, I think Jared Parker was just universally reviled by Irish fans, so I can't help but think that's going to help them a little bit. I don't think they'll have a problem covering the 5.5. I will say that I have a feeling that if anybody bets just $500 on this game, it could move the line by 2 points. I don't know how anybody bets this one in confidence. There's got to be no money on this one and zero certainty. That would be interesting. You could really freak out a book just by putting a big bet one way and just seeing how much you can move the line. That would be interesting.
Drop $1,000 on this, see what the book does. The book's, oh no, they know something.
Yeah. On Notre Dame, it moved to 10.
Is there a story between the Notre Dame hate on Jared Parker?
Their offense wasn't impressive, even against US. Maybe that's a good starting point from my context. That was probably by far USC's best defensive game against a decent team. Maybe just start from there and build out. Yeah, I think we characterized them a couple times as good against bad teams, and I think that it was really their offense that was most guilty of that.
Yeah, I totally stopped following him after, because he was the interim head coach for Purdue the year they fired Hazel. Now, they didn't win a game under him, but they wouldn't have won a game under Hazel either. Yeah. So I didn't really follow him once he left after that, but
that's quite a find to get that guy to run your offense, he said sarcastically. My gosh. Good job.
Yeah, I don't want to hold it against him too much because there was just nothing to work with. But, yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Where does your season go after your coach was fired because you allowed an Iowa offense to hang 49 on you?
That was in a season, right? No, one game?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the game. Yeah. Coach was fired after that, after the fans finished the game by chanting "Fire Hazel," and you could hear it on TV.
Nice.
One thing I will say about this game, and one of the reasons why I put the 5.5 is, I feel like Notre Dame is coming off of a really disappointing season, and there's nothing here, right? There was hype early season for Hartman, for Heisman. There was hype for college football playoff. There's nothing. It has all completely fallen apart. And Hartman's gone. Probably some other opt-outs too. For Oregon State, though, they went down fighting. Okay, they got blown out by Oregon to end the season, but they fought really hard against Washington. And then, okay, they lost their coach. They've lost some players to the transfer portal, but I gotta think the guys that are staying are like, hey, this is our shot to say, screw you, world, right? That's my one concern. This is the Tony Tiger Sun Bowl. This is what? Is this in Arizona? Or
no, this is in El Paso. You're forgetting that whole aspect, too. What an awesome venue.
So this is in the West. So Notre Dame's coming out west for this.
Not the West.
What?
No, not the West.
Okay, I guess more middle of the country, but
no, it's more North Mexico, I think, is... No. Yeah, and not like the safe part.
No, yes, but no, I question how much Notre Dame is really going to bring themselves up to traveling down to Mexico in the middle between Christmas and New Year's to go play a team that's not a Power 5 team anymore.
Fair. But to your point, I don't even know if anybody that played is going to be in this game. USC got 2 guys from the Oregon State defense, like their leading tackler and then his brother or his stepbrother who plays safety. I don't know. Again, just going back to, honestly, I would love to see somebody bet like 1,500 on this game and move it just 10 points in one direction just because nobody knows anything on this one.
It's a mess.
It's weirdly watchable for maybe like 10 minutes until you think, okay, this is really bad. But just to see if there's just something like Black Cat might run onto the field and freak everybody out or something kind of standpoint. Or maybe like bullets from across the border from Juarez. Okay. AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Memphis. I think this is actually at their home stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
They somehow have home field advantage in this game.
Why is the Liberty Bowl in Memphis?
Is this a political thing?
They didn't.
Liberty. It's the Bell in Pennsylvania, right?
They didn't want to hold it in Lynchburg, Virginia.
That's Liberty Bell, not the Liberty Bowl.
Oh no, but the bell is right there on the logo.
Because you didn't know Ben Franklin lived in Memphis for a while?
Apparently for the first 5 years it was played in Philadelphia. So that was from 1959 to 1964.
And then they downsized?
Then it moved to Atlantic City for a year. And then since 1965, it has been held at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, they went for synergy. Okay. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
All right.
You gotta stop trying to make sense of it.
So you've got surprisingly a good quarterback matchup here, especially Rocco Becht, who really stunk in his first few starts. If I was smart and not lazy and sick, I would have done some splits and seen at some point he probably has numbers way above this 113. Interesting that for a team that's been so good on offense the last couple of years, Iowa State actually finished with a better offense and defense. 13.3 is a really high power rating for this venue bowl. I've got Iowa State by 14. Robert's got going the other direction. I don't know. This is one where I like my numbers better than Robert's, but Robert's setting the number here. So what are you doing with this one?
Yeah, Memphis plus 6.5.
Wow. Okay.
I will absolutely. I'll lay the touchdown with Iowa State. I think home field is going to be overrated in this. They'll have a better crowd, but I think with Iowa State, the thing I like about them was that first, I like their coach. I do like Campbell. They've been down for a couple seasons now since that one stretch where they were just really good under him and they got really hot. Was that the COVID year when they had that really good season?
I think in
2021 they won 6 games.
Okay, so in 20 I think they actually beat Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, they did. I remember
won the Pac-12.
So they had a couple stretches there being good, but then they fell off for a season or two. But in general, and I really like that defensive rating in a game like this where you've got 2 really good quarterbacks and you've got 2 pretty good offenses as a result. And if one of those teams has a significantly better defense, that makes me think that Iowa State just needs to basically one bigger play than Memphis, and I think they can do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Iowa State here too. I think that as we talk through these, I think this is going to be one of those few games where both teams are going to be more or less at full strength and more or less given a crap. Having said that, I like my numbers, and I could probably rely on my numbers here more than most cases. The other thing too is if I'm just looking against the market, I've got this a 14-point game. It's going across 14 and 10 versus the market here, and then Robert's giving me another key number 7, so I'm definitely taking that. And I might actually bet Iowa State here. Be interested to see how this moves. It's at a weird number right now of 8.5.
I got 9.5 in my book. Yeah.
Okay, I think the market's probably a little slow to adjust it. Like Rocco Becht is actually good because he was such a joke for. You get a bad first impression that lasts a month, and that kind of sticks with you for a while. Remember, too, he wasn't supposed to start. He probably didn't get much in the summer. because that gambling thing broke kind of like I think about midway through summer camps. Is that about correct?
Yeah.
So definitely forgivable what he did. Yeah, the more I talk about it, I'm gonna get a little something on the clones here. All right.
I think I will too.
Yeah, last game, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. You've got, interestingly, Connor Cook and a really nice Missouri offense going against who knows what kind of offense we're going to get with Ohio State. Just the raw power rankings, I've got Ohio State clearly here, and Robert has it even more. Don't know if you probably had to have McCord in there, so you wouldn't have any numbers. Yeah. I will say, not that I've seen a bunch. I'm just guessing of the three of us, since you're the Big Ten guy, Isaiah, you've probably seen more Devin Brown than either of us. I'll put it this way. I wouldn't really be delighted if he was the QB2 of my team.
Man, there's some bad mojo around Ohio State right now. You've got Cord leaving, and I would assume just about everybody who's anybody isn't going to be playing in this game. There's no way Marvin Harrison's going to play in this game, right?
Or Ibuka.
Yeah.
Ibuka's out. So who is Henderson playing? Do we know?
I think he's back next year, so maybe.
Okay. So at least you got him, but it's just, yeah, I certainly would not, if I were Ohio State, I would not be having, at least I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. I wouldn't want Devin Brown as the quarterback of the future. And now you've got Ryan Day nearly collapsing on his knees during a press conference today when they told him that one of his best recruits isn't actually going somewhere else. He's going to stay with Ohio State, because you had multiple recruits who decommitted and went. There is something not good in the air right now with Ohio State, and I would not want to be riding it, because they're already ready to fire him for losing to Michigan 3 times in a row. And boy, it doesn't feel good. Not to give Ohio State any ammo, because I'm sure they don't need that, but
it's Ohio versus the world. So, as he says,
don't give me
on that thing, where is Robert Martin? Give me a line on this one.
Missouri minus 2.5.
All right, you're going to shade it a point that way.
Yeah, and I'll take Missouri. I think obviously they're not the talent mecca that Ohio State had, but we don't even know how much of that mecca is playing in this game. If you're Ohio State and you've lost to Michigan, do you care about this game? Because it's not a playoff game, unlike last year. All these players not playing. I, again, would not want to be Ryan Day right now. Yeah, I'll take lay the points with Missouri.
I should know this. I don't want to research live time, but Missouri, probably the best defense that they played, I'm guessing, was
Michigan.
Georgia.
You mean Missouri?
Yeah.
Missouri,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
Probably Georgia, yeah.
And I think they did okay in that game.
That was at Georgia, and they put up 21. They only lost that game by 9. They could have won that game.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way and say I think that Ohio State, and I think my numbers actually bear this out. I think Ohio State's defense is better. A weird thing to say. I think that might be the matchup here. And Robert's giving the FU line of it's not a pick 'em, but it's not a pick 'em. I'm getting like the least value possible with the plus 2.5. Thank you. Good job by you. But I'm going to take the Ohio State here, just on the strength of the Ohio State defense.
I don't think I don't think that's necessarily a bad play, because the other thing too here is you can have half the team transfer out or not play, and it's still Ohio State. Ohio State's bottom 25% is still better than 75% of the country. So it's an interesting line you set there, because again, you're basically asking, can you trust what Ohio State has left, including that defense? Or do you think they're packing it in?
Yeah. Okay, so that is the last game for this pod, and just to complete it out in the typical form. No dual model plays, no wrong teams favored, and even if they were, there would probably be a huge asterisk because of all the absences and portaling and head coaches and teams not giving a crap and not knowing what Wasabi is and Tony the Tiger playing in Juarez, Mexico. If you're playing any of these, good luck. I like Iowa State. I guess if we're going to give one best play from this group of bowls, that'll be mine. Iowa State giving 8.5. What about you guys? Your best player from this group of bowls?
Yeah, probably SMU minus 11. I think that's a decent
That's a good
play.
call. Yeah.
Yeah. I also don't hate Kentucky plus the 5 and money line
That's
there.
bold.
It's not as good as the plus 7, but Kentucky is like, they beat Louisville as 8-point dogs, and then I don't trust Clemson, and I don't think Kentucky's that bad. And you see, the thing is, some of these I've already got. Like I got when the record news first broke, I was able to grab Missouri plus 3 and money line. So I'm sitting here and be like, yeah, okay. It's also funny. There's a bunch of other transfers out of Ohio State. They also lost some other guy named Kyle. So I'd assume they have no people named Kyle on the roster now. Whatever that's worth, it's a critical lack of Kyles. But yeah, no, give me I like SMU and Kentucky and a couple other spot plays, but those are the ones I like the most.
Yeah, I'm not super hot on a lot of those. The Lions. Yeah, I like the Iowa State. Kentucky's not a bad play. The under in that Clemson-Kentucky game. I think I would lean towards that or that Rutgers-Miami under. That's your Big Ten West sickos under that I absolutely could see hitting, and I think I will probably play that because I enjoy chasing crappy Big Ten unders.
Isn't that a bit redundant? They're not crappy.
I would like to say that I was sweating a couple of those Iowa 29-point unders, but I wasn't because it's Iowa, and I also genetically can't sweat. So there you go.
Very fair. All right. That wraps up part 2. Since this is the last pod before Christmas, happy holiday to everybody listening. And this should be dropping, I think, Thursday morning, and then we will be back probably same time next week to do the final pod and the 9 games, I think, that are left, 8 or 9 games that are left, and Isaiah will be setting those lines. So until then, Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. To those who don't, enjoy your Kwanzaa or whatever else you enjoy, and we will see you in a week.
See you, everybody.
Bye.